I've had a good run so far. I'm probably not going to win them all, but I still feel like I can make it. So there's for a stream match in the World Championship, it's a little bit lower pressure.
Here we go, jumping into team preview. I'm going to go mention Aaron Traylor's team first. It is Lunala, Rayquaza, Incineroar, Stakataka, Tapu Fini, and Snorlax. And over on Jens' side, it's Alolan Persian, Ho-Oh, Rayquaza, Landorus, Therian, Tapu Koko, and I believe that is a Mantine.
I feel like I was kind of watching Aaron's face as he saw team preview, and I feel like he was just as surprised as we are. So I'm glad that we're all on the same page here. I love this. Not only does Jens have some fantastic colors on his side of the field, where I feel like it's got like a nice rainbow effect going on, but there are two different flying type Pokemon that we don't see very much, and two that we see a lot of. So I guess if anything, this is kind of a Mega Rayquaza team in the sense that its ability that reduces the damage of super effective attacks on flying type Pokemon has a ton of value on this team, possibly the most I've ever seen.
Yeah, and Ho-Oh Rayquaza actually had some very early success in 2016 in the early stages of that format. So here we are now at the World Championships, bringing it back. And of course, Rayquaza's ability will be able to negate some of Ho-Oh's rock weaknesses, or any flying weakness, really, to try to allow it to survive, as well as Ho-Oh being able to provide tailwind support.
We also get to see Snorlax on Aaron's side of the field. I'm not surprised by that because I've heard so many Snorlax rumors. Like, okay, finally it's on stream, but it's great. The Lunala Stakataka combination offering a lot of speed control. But what I'm going to be interested to see here is how Aaron works to figure out Jens' items in this first game. There are a lot of different Pokemon here who could be holding. You can kind of like guess the 6 items probably, but not who has them. Where there's a Z Crystal somewhere. But I think with this team, I think you assume there's an Assault Vest. There's 3 different Pokemon that are likely to have it. Rayquaza could hold about 5 different items, and a lot of them could hold Pinch Berries. So this is a tricky matchup.
And here we go now, jumping into the match. It looks like Aaron Traylor is going to lead with Tapu Fini and Incineroar, while on Jens' side, he is going to lead with Rayquaza and Persian here. The Alolan Persian, of course, with that fur coat ability, does give it a big physical defense stat here, as Incineroar's Intimidates are going to go ahead and land, impacting that Rayquaza a lot.
Yeah, I think this is a nice lead for Aaron in the sense that these are 2 very strong defensive Pokemon. They're very good against a lot of things, and I'm going to guess Jens sees a lot of leads like this, where it's like, all right, what's the safest thing I can do while I try to figure out what the heck is going on in this match?
Yep, and it looks like Jens here going to switch out that Rayquaza and send in Landorus Therian here. It is going to drop an Intimidate onto the Incineroar over on Aaron's side here, which is going to be pretty big, as well as Landorus coming in without Intimidate. As Persian now uses Fake Out, going to hit into that Tapu Fini, going to make it flinch his turn, as Incineroar is going to go ahead and Fake Out as well into that Landorus slot.
Yeah, there's a whole lot happening there. It's the Intimidates are now to the advantage of Jens, and Persian also kind of in a better position here where, both it and Incineroar are likely to bail from battle this turn with Parting Shot and U-Turn, but, likely Aaron's going to wind up in a position here where he can't really do any damage this turn, so Jens is free to pivot around. Wouldn't be shocked to see Rayquaza come back in, although it's a little dangerous if you're concerned about maybe Tapu Fini going for something like an Icy Wind or a Nature's Madness, because there's a ton of threat going the other way either.
Yeah, and looks like Incineroar over on Aaron's side going to switch out, not going to go for a U-turn here, not wanting to take a possible ground type attack from that Landorus Therian, as Rayquaza from Aaron's side going to take the field as well, instead activating that airlock ability, going to go ahead and make sure no weather happens at all, even though there's not much weather happening at all right now. Tapu Fini is going to protect itself here as Alolan Persian, it looks like Landorus actually tried to hit in that Tapu Fini slot right there, as Alolan Persian uses Snarl here, going to go ahead and drop Rayquaza's special attack stat. So it looks like that Landorus Therian over on Jens' side is going to be outspeeding that Alolan Persian over on his side.
Yeah, very suspicious, so definitely tells you something about this Landorus. Tells Aaron something too, maybe a little less afraid of those ground type attacks now after seeing that item, because there's not threat of the ground EMZ now. Also, nice little play by Aaron to get Rayquaza in pretty safely. Jens not threatening a lot of damage, so while Rayquaza is probably not going to get blown up if I switch it in at least. Still some threat of its stats getting reduced here, but a relatively free opportunity for him to try to get some damage on the field now. Knows Landorus can only use U-turn. Persian, foul play is dangerous, but not going to do anything more dangerous than that.
Rayquaza on Aaron's side switches out. Incineroar going to take the field here for Aaron's side, and Intimidate is going to go ahead and land onto that Landorus Therian. Again, Alolan Persian does have some physical attacks like that Fake Out, but it's not really trained to be offensive here, as Landorus Therian finally connects with that U-turn into that Tapu Fini slot, and now Jens is going to be able to pivot out that Landorus Therian and what is Yen's going to go ahead and switch into here? Big decision. It's going to be a Tapu Koko from Yen's side of the field here. So only Rayquaza is as a restricted Pokemon, actually. So Yen's opting to not bring that Ho-Oh yet. Persian now using Foul Play, going to hit into that Incineroar slot. Not very effective damage at all. And here we go. It's going to go ahead. Aaron's going to go ahead and go for a Waterian Z. Activate that Waterian Z on that Tapu Fini and go for a Hydro Vortex.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to like hitting either of these Pokemon with this. Not a Pokemon, or not an item we see given to Tapu Fini very often, but it's going to do a bunch of damage to its opposed counter here.
Yeah, so Tapu Koko going to take some big damage right there and gets a one-hit KO on it as well. So a big threat to that Tapu Fini has been knocked out.
And as we all know, water super effective against electric. Wait, what? But still, nice play by Aaron there. And I kind of talking before about how tricky it is to play against Yen's because you don't know where the items are going to be. Traylor has done a great job of kind of just playing passively enough to navigate figuring that out. And instead it was his item that got a surprise knockout. And that's big. I think also big here is he now knows all 4 of the Pokemon Yen's brought. I think one of the big things about trying to get comfortable in a weird matchup is not having to also factor in, well, there's 3 other Pokemon that could be in this final slot. Now things are a little bit more controlled. He gets that knockout. Harder to play that parting shot U-turn game also when there's only 3 Pokemon remaining. So lots of things you like about the point Aaron has played himself into, though this Rayquaza now is looking a little threatening.
Yeah, so Rayquaza can still Mega Evolve here to be able to boost its stats as well as get that Delta Stream ability out on the field to kind of reduce the damage that Ice type attack from that Tapu Fini can do to it. But, that Hydro Vortex getting that KO on that Tapu Koko also reveals that this Tapu Koko is not that bulky variant that some players are opting for. That support Tapu Koko here as Rayquaza protects itself, does not want to take any damage at all, or a possible Fake Out, as Fake Out does land into that Mega Rayquaza. Persian now uses Snarl, going to hit into that Tapu Fini slot, going to drop its special attack stat. Not going to matter too much for the opposing Incineroar on Aaron's side. And now Tapu Fini using Moonblast lands into that Rayquaza slot and no damage at all thanks to that Protect.
Yeah, I mean, you see the Snarl going down in Tapu Fini, and I feel like, most games, you don't really care if your Tapu Fini's special attack gets dropped. It's like, well, I mean, it's mostly just there to play support anyway, but this is a particularly bloodthirsty Tapu Fini, so probably that special attack drop is unfortunate. But also with the Rayquaza out there, it's tough to switch safely too. He might wind up needing to sacrifice this here, but still, nice early lead for Aaron. Now we'll see the Landers come back in, get intimidated, so start controlling the field. But again, with that Choice Scarf, we'll have to see what it locks into, though. I guess it'd be relatively safe to Earthquake with what's on the field. Yeah,
and Alolan Persian U-turns out. Landers Therian switches in. Another Intimidate from that Landers Therian targets down that Incineroar to drop its attack stat as Rayquaza now uses Dragon Ascent here. It is going to be dealing some big damage over onto Aaron's side of the field as it targets down that Tapu Fini. Big damage, gets the KO from that range, but does drop Rayquaza's defenses.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's a nice knockout for Yen's. He gets himself back in the game here, ties it up. But you see the Life Orb recoil. So again, Aaron learning items, getting this U-turn. He's going to be able to get probably this Intimidate again next turn and start threatening that Fake Out. Good play by Yen's. He's got to keep himself in it where there's enough offensive power on both sides of the field. You don't want to fall too far behind. But Aaron's going to trade a positioning advantage for having to give up that Tapu Fini there, although with the special attack drop, it was probably time. And this is definitely a beautiful Incineroar U-turn here, because this actually allows Aaron to be able to recycle that Intimidate immediately as this Rayquaza switches in on Aaron's side, and now Aaron has to replace the fallen Pokemon on his side. Yeah, he kind of gets to replace Incineroar with itself in a way, where it just pops in on the other side. Getting that Intimidate off, which will be huge against both of these Pokemon. And I really like how Aaron can play these next couple of turns now. He's threatening a Fake Out, which will most likely go into that Rayquaza spot unless he wants to get really cheeky. But now that Landers has been intimidated, it could go for a Rock Slide. Try to get some flinches, which is always a dangerous game to play, but at least the damage threat isn't huge. And if he doesn't get a flinch, the Rayquaza on Aaron's side is ready to start unloading some damage. So, Choice Scarf Rock Slide, always horrifying. It's a good chance we see it here because I wouldn't be surprised if Yen's keeps the option of switching his Persian in. But we'll have to see what they actually go with it. There's more conservative plays available on either side, but I'm curious if we'll start to see the players trying to shift in the end game and close this one up. And Aaron's Rayquaza now going to follow suit, Mega Evolve here. Just get those big stats as Incineroar does have that Fake Out pressure to
to be able to target down any Pokemon on Yen's side. Rayquaza over on Yen's side protects itself here, does not want to possibly get faked out, but if you know something has a Choice Scarf, you kind of just want to actually just go for a fake out into that slot, but instead Landorus locks into U-turn here.
Well, this is good. So this is a nice safe post here for Aaron exploits. Because now Persian comes back in, the fake out threat goes the other way, and he gets a free attack, unless Aaron anticipated this and attacked the other slot, so he's not just giving up damage for free.
Yeah, so Rayquaza over on Aaron's side now is able to go for a Dragon Ascent. Going to go ahead and target down that Persian over on Yen's side of the field that just switched in, but that Fur Coat ability is so good, just boosting that physical defense, as that actually drops Aaron's Rayquaza stats now on the defensive side. As Incineroar on Aaron's side uses U-turn, hits in that Persian slot. Persian hangs on, so that does provide fake out support for the next turn, as now Incineroar is going to go ahead and switch out and reveal Aaron's last Pokemon here. And
Yen's
it's going to be Stack Attack.
So Yen's very likely, very happy, I'm sure of it, Persian survived there, because that would have been awful for him if it had gone down. Really get to see the surprising stoutness of Persian, but Aaron still in a nice spot there. He did everything he needed to do in that last turn, where it was kind of clear what he was threatening and what his opponent should do, so he takes advantage of it. And Stack Attack becomes really interesting in this matchup. Again, we have the issue where he's got to try to figure out what this Rayquaza knows. Life Orb Rayquaza is the variant most likely to know Earth Power, so he does have to be careful with that. But it's also going to be tough to get too many free attacks off here if you're the Rayquaza on either side. And you see him switching the Incineroar in, getting that Intimidate out, and potentially preparing for a Fake Out.
Yeah, Incineroar on Aaron's side. Another Intimidate onto the Rayquaza on Yen's side of the field here. So Stack Attack uses Protect, not going to want to possibly risk taking Earth Power if this is the Earth Power variant, and Rayquaza is an Earth Power user here, as Stack Attacker protects itself as Persian opts for a foul play, hitting into what was that Rayquaza slot on Aaron's side, but instead Incineroar takes negligible amounts of damage there as the electricity finally disappears from the field. So, you know, Aaron is playing extremely well. He's positioning himself, not taking too many big risks here.
Yeah, he's putting himself in a position where now he may not need to for the rest of the game. I just get that fake out pressure. And I know this is a weird thing to be excited about, but I really like that Stack Attack or Protect. Not the fact that he used it, which I feel like was a no-brainer there, but the fact that it knows Protect. We normally see it not have room for Protect, especially a move like Wide Guard instead. I don't think there's a huge need for it on Aaron's team, especially because he has another Pokemon that could potentially have Wide Guard. So instead, it survives because of the Protect, and that could very well determine the results of this match.
Yeah, and Rayquaza on Yen's side switches out as Landorus takes the field yet again for Yen's here. Gonna use Intimidate one more time in this game here. Drop Stack Attack as attack, and Incineroar's as well, as Incineroar now uses Fake Out, hits into that Landorus slot as Persian U-turns head out. Gonna hit the Stack Attacker for negligible amounts of damage, not very effective, but that Persian is still gonna be in the back there for Yen's. Come out for one more possible fake out as Mega Rayquaza on Yen's side of the field takes place again.
It shows those Intimidates. It'll be interesting what Stack Attack it does. Either dish out a decent amount of damage to either of these Pokemon, or I think a Trick Room here would almost definitely end the game in Aaron's favor.
Yeah, and Stack Attack actually uses Trick Room, so Aaron really playing this board position extremely well now, just setting up for the end game.
And so now Aaron's two Pokemon, which previously would have been the two slowest Pokemon field, are now the two quickest, and he has a much better chance of keeping the Earth Power from that Rayquaza away from his Stack Attacka. If it was allowed to connect with that, it would definitely score a knockout, but Stack Attacka's damage isn't trivial, and there's some danger of that coming in. However, we mentioned before, because of that Protect, Stack Attacka likely does not have Wide Guard. Landorus next to a Rayquaza can Earthquake relatively safely. Certainly, Aaron has the option of just switching his own Rayquaza in and to help deal with that, but then he can't really do anything to check this Rayquaza, who could be trying to fish for a Rayquaza switch in as well. Aaron definitely has the better positioning, but there's ways Jens could come back in this one, probably involving getting a cheap knockout with Rayquaza here on a turn where Aaron expects him to Protect.
Yeah, and here we go. Rayquaza on Yen's side protects itself. Not going to want to possibly get hit with a Rock Slide here, as Stack Attacker uses Gyro Ball here. Going to do some big damage to that Landorus, but that Intimidate's so big. Oh, a critical hit right there. So, that Intimidate did not matter. Just goes ahead and bypasses that Intimidate. Stack Attacker does receive a Beast Boost here, going to boost its defense. And, that Incineroar was probably going to double up anyways, as Incineroar uses Knockoff here. Going to knock off that Rayquaza's item, but instead Rayquaza protects itself. So that was most likely a double up into that slot anyways, just to guarantee a knockout. Yeah, so crit didn't matter, most likely, but really nice play by Aaron there. Again, kind of for both of them, they either need the cheap
KO by Rayquaza or making the read the other way. It's the second time now we've seen Aaron take a ton of damage by anticipating Jens making a play that maybe was a little bit too safe. Now it's hard to see how you get out of this one. If you're Jens, Aaron has the option of just doubling Persian and then leaving Rayquaza in a 2v1.
Yeah, so Persian does have access to one more fake out. Persian uses fake out onto that stack attacker here. Going to make it flinch, not be able to move, but Incineroar uses U-turn. Going to hit into that Persian slot, gets the KO, but that Incineroar is going to get one more Intimidate, at least in this game, and Rayquaza does not enjoy taking those Intimidates at all. Aaron's own Mega Rayquaza will take the field, and the Mega Rayquaza on Jens' side of the field will probably be able to get the KO with an Earth Power on that stack attacker, but next turn, just fake out and a Dragon Ascent in that slot, but it looks like Aaron has very strong board position here, as Jens' Rayquaza now does use Earth Power, gets the KO on that stack attacker.
Yeah, that's probably not the most satisfying KO Jens has ever scored, where you get the knockout. I guess you know for sure now that there's nothing strange about this, but yeah, it's a little too late here. That Intimidate from Incineroar going to make it even more difficult for Jens' Rayquaza to knock out Aaron's should it somehow find a way to create that opportunity. It's a fake out threat here now, so I guess really all you hope for on Jens' side is that Aaron reveals something more, because it's tough to see how he gets out of this one.
Yeah, it's tough, especially with those boosts that those defense debuffs that might actually occur if Jens possibly goes for a Dragon Ascent onto Aaron's Rayquaza. I mean, the best you could actually hope for is probably just a critical hit, but here it is, Aaron just going for the Swords Dance.
Yeah, so wise move by Aaron there as far as locking this game down. Maybe don't want to reveal that Swords Dance if you don't have to, but by using that, I think that there are now no situations other than Aaron clicks the wrong buttons where he could fail to win this one. Yeah, well played. I think the combination of Extreme Spin and Knockout is enough. And I really like how he played this game, where it's like he wasn't ultra conservative, but he played very defensively until he had a situation where he could make a read at pretty low risk, and he cashed it in every time.
Yep, Rayquaza on Aaron's side goes for the Extreme Speed, brings Rayquaza down into KO range, and there it is. Incineroar finishes it off. Aaron Traylor takes game one here of round 4, so Jens is going to have to go back to the drawing board to try to figure out where that game went wrong. And of course, Jens can do it. He can still do it. He can still force a game 3 here.
Yeah, I think both of these players learned a lot in this game. I guess if I don't think very hard, maybe I just assume that Jens has the advantage in game 1 because his team is wonkier. But it's really the 4 Pokemon that we see a little more frequently that Jens opted to select for that match. I don't know that he got any bigger surprise factor out of that game than Aaron did with that unexpected Z move and a couple other neat tricks on that team. So it'll be interesting to see what these players opt to bring for game 2. I think probably both of them feel like, well, maybe if I make a couple of reads correctly in that game, that's mine, so I could keep the same 4 and maybe not be too upset. But I kind of hope they change the Pokemon up, because the 4 Pokemon we don't see a lot were the ones that didn't get selected for that one, other than, I guess, Stack Attacker we haven't seen too much of so far this weekend.
I think one clear thing that Jens needs to be able to do in terms of adjusting, even if Jens does not change anything about his team, is, you now expect that Tapu Fini to be a bit more of an offensive variant with that Hydro Vortex, and you have to protect your Tapu Koko just a little bit better. You cannot just allow it to get KO'd by a Tapu Fini with a Hydro Vortex right off the bat.
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting, where the nice element of that to me about Aaron's team is that you end up with kind of a 6 Pokemon you really want to apply pressure to, where 5 of them can deal a ton of damage, and ignoring Incineroar is also dangerous because it makes it very easy for it to just keep spreading those Intimidates, which is a problem for the big attackers on Jens' side. I kind of think if I'm Jens, maybe I change things up a little bit here. I don't know if playing aggressively with Tapu Koko, or I guess defensively in the sense of not switching it into Tapu Fini again, is enough, where I think he probably needs a little bit more of a change. But on Aaron's side, I feel like you can make some tweaks too. It's an interesting position.
Yeah, and here we go now, jumping into game 2 here of round 4. Jens, Arne Maekinen versus Aaron Traylor. Aaron going to lead with the Tapu Fini and a Lunala, and looks like we're going to see some changes here as Jens leads with Ho-Oh and a Alolan Persian.
So both sides opting to bring the restricted Pokemon they did not bring to game 1. So we've not learned anything about either of these Pokemon. I guess perhaps worth noting, we often see Lunala use its Z move, but not so likely because we've seen that the Tapu Fini's sitting next to it is holding a Z Crystal instead. Also because of that, I think normally you see this turn and like maybe you don't want to get Persian Moonblasted by Tapu Fini, but like you're not feeling super threatened. Instead, you really can't ignore Tapu Fini if you're Jens, because you just can't let that Z move go to the Ho-Oh slot. So this is it's a precarious turn, I would say, although Aaron's the one who switches out.
Aaron Sapafini switches out. Incineroar taking the field here. An Intimidate. Ho-Oh does typically know physical type attacks. Access to Brave Bird, access to Sacred Fire. And here Lunala on Aaron's side protects, does not want to possibly get hit with a Snarl to drop its special attack stat. As Persian uses Fake Out, it is going to hit into that Incineroar for some damage here, as Ho-Oh actually goes for a substitute. And, this is a very much what we would expect to see from a, singles build Ho-Oh here. Just hiding behind a substitute, but nope, here we are in VGC with a substitute Ho-Oh.
Yeah, so I guess now we're getting what maybe I was expecting in game one, where Jens has all these strange tricks that Aaron has to figure out to play around. He probably hates a Ho-Oh with the substitutes right now. It's going to be really tough for him to break, but he did at least get that Intimidate out before the substitute went up. So normally substitute blocks Intimidate, so important that he gets that ordering right, but still, it kind of messes with what his plan probably was here, where I assume he was hoping, he's getting Incineroar, he'll get an easy fake out and a speed control move. Now it's tough where you can't fake out the Ho anymore, and even if you could, it's tough to actually take advantage of the speed control with Ho sitting there.
Yeah, and Ho gets to go on the offensive here, uses Sacred Fire, hits in that Lunala side. That does nothing because of that Shadow Shield. Cannot burn it either because of that Tapu Fini Misty Terrain, as Lunala uses its Trick Room here, as Persian flinches from that fake out.
Yeah, Tapu Fini maybe being the early MVP of both of the first two games so far. Ho-Oh, one of the things that's really terrible playing against it is, that 50% burn rate in Sacred Fire. It's not perfectly accurate, but you're still almost, a coin flip likely to get a irritating burn. Can't happen with this, and I think probably after the last game, Jens will be a little more conservative about switching Tapu Koko in, but he's got great tools to stall out this Trick Room, but not really to slow down too much of what Aaron's trying to do.
Ho-Oh now hiding behind its Protect as Incineroar uses U-turn, going to try to chip away at this Persian, doing some decent damage right there because there is no Intimidate dropped onto that Incineroar, as Aaron now pivots out that Incineroar. Aaron now gets one chance to switch in, could bring in that Tapu Fini or reveal his fourth Pokemon. It is going to be a Stack Attacker, which does so exceptionally well under Trick Room and, can't be burned. Nothing really on the field here that can actually do damage to it, really. As Persian now also opts to go for a U-turn, hits into that Stack Attacker slot. Again, negligible amounts of damage because of that sky-high physical defense stat, but Jens now does have a chance to possibly pick up some big damage.
It's actually a really great play by Jens. It's subtly a really excellent Protect where you kind of feel safe. Usually if you have a substitute up, maybe you play a little bit aggressive. It's really important that he didn't, because Aaron was trying to break that substitute so that he could then threaten a KO with Stack Attacker. Now he's kind of in a weird spot, because since Stack Attacker will move first, it could break the substitute, but you're not threatening a knockout on Ho anymore, so it can attack safely if it wants to. Lunala not going to take a huge amount of damage probably from either of these Pokemon, but it's really been some nice positioning by Jens here. Also with Ho out there, he can Earthquake pretty safely with Landorish should he want to, so Stack Attacker maintains a little bit more danger where you're not really threatening a knockout that way either. So really nice positioning there, despite having to play around Aaron's Trick Room by Jens.
Yep, and Landorus Therian not intimidated at all. It is a speed Pokemon, though, going to be taking some big damage from this Gyro Ball. Hangs on, but does Lunala just go ahead and just, go for an attack to try to get the KO? But it looks like a Supersonic Sky Strike from this Ho-Oh. It is intimidated, though, so it won't be doing as much damage as Jens would have enjoyed, but it is still going to be doing some big amounts of damage here on that Lunala after that Shadow Shield has been broken. So how much damage is this going to do to the Lunala? A Supersonic Sky Strike based off of Brave Bird from Ho-Oh. Lunala hangs on handily as Lunala now uses Moon Geist Beam here. Hits into what I believe is going to be that Lander slot and get the KO.
Yeah, so that's a nice pickup by Aaron. He's going to realize that, Lander is his Choice Scarf, so I can't just double up and pick up that knockout, even though Lunala normally quick enough that that play isn't guaranteed until you've seen the speeds of the Pokemon. Nice little play by him, and yeah, that was not a bad Supersonic Sky Strike considering the Intimidate. Lunala, one of the bulkiest legendary Pokemon, not unlike Ho-Oh itself, but Ho-Oh, I guess, also has an advantage where it may not look it as the just a giant bird thing, but its attack stat is very high.
It's a pretty good attack stat actually, and those Brave Birds are. They will be doing massive amounts of damage if you don't keep that Ho-Oh in check with those Intimidates. So Alolan Persian takes the field again, access to Fake Out, can make the Stack Attack a Fake Out, but Lunala might actually be in range of Snarl since it is quadruple weak to it. But again, Alolan Persian doesn't have the best offensive stats here, as Incineroar is going to take the field instead for Aaron's Lunala.
wisely playing it safe here and potentially putting himself in a nice spot where Trick Room will be expiring soon, and he's putting himself in a position just to get it right back up. Stakataka getting some easy damage out here. Really well played game kind of by both sides, but Aaron again pulling ahead. It's a sturdier Pokemon helping him pull through this one.
Yeah, and Ho-Oh's substitute finally fades after it gets hit with the Rock Slide. But it looks like,
substitute.
Ho-Oh is just ready to hide right back behind that substitute. Gonna wait for that Trick Room to be able to expire, and now U-turn from the Alolan Persian hits into Aaron's Incineroar. And what does Jens have to try to get the KO on this stack attack here? Because that is going to be a big threat. Ho-Oh, I mean, it can deal neutral damage.
But perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Rayquaza, we know it has Earth Power. So this is a battle position right now as the Misty Terrain disappears.
It's an interesting little spot we have in here. Also now the threat where Rayquaza could Mega Evolve and help Ho-Oh take at least a little less damage from these Rock type attacks, so probably still going to want to stay away from those. Again, another nice substitute by Jens. I think that one thing that really is challenging about playing people who have these weird tech Pokemon is that, to get to 3-0 at the World Championships, you're also really good at the weird tech Pokemon. I think we've seen a couple of plays that, again, they're not flashy because they're not picking up knockouts, but he's mitigating so much damage and improving his board position so much by just, making these subtle little plays smartly.
Yep, Stack Attacker now leaves the field. Tapu Fini takes the field, going to bring back that Misty Terrain. No burns going to happen for that Sacred Fire. Aaron actually not opting to bring his own Rayquaza here as Jens's Rayquaza Mega Evolves and brings out that Delta Stream. Going to go ahead and weaken the amount of damage that, flying types take from super effective damages. And, Ho-Oh opting to protect this turn, not wanting to have its substitute faded by that Stack Attacker, but looks like Aaron is a little bit ahead here, just trying to take advantage of that passiveness from Jens. And yes, it is going to be a very passive turn from Jens here as he protects both Pokemon, not wanting to, take any damage as the Trick Room expires.
Yeah, wisely puts himself in a position now where if Aaron had left Stack Attacker out to try to use Trick Room, he would have gotten punished super hard. Aaron wisely, as we've seen all series, kind of understands that Jens knows what Aaron's best play is, so Aaron not playing kind of the safe, greedy play, instead keeping himself in a good position. Tapu Fini potentially threatening a lot of damage to both of these Pokemon now with no Fake Out on Aaron's side of the field, though it's in danger of taking a lot of damage also, so we'll have to see which side can actually take advantage of this position. Good potential for a lot of damage to go either way, especially if one of them tries to make a really aggressive read.
Yeah, and I mean, there is a lot of damage to be dealt right now from Jens' side of the field, but again, that Ho-Oh intimidated from turn one kind of just really makes it do not as much damage as Jens really wants, but it's hiding safely kind of behind the substitute, probably not wanting to switch just yet. Dragon Ascent from that Rayquaza hits so much damage to that Tapu Fini, hangs on with just 4 hit points right there as Rayquaza's defense drop as Ho-Oh now uses Brave Bird. Does it target down that Tapu Fini and just get the KO? Yes, it does. It is going to go ahead and get the KO on that offensive Tapu Fini right there. Just securing that KO as Incineroar now gets to make its move.
Yeah, wise play by Jens. Can't risk just giving up a free knockout in his Rayquaza, but Incineroar will get to do a little damage in return. Unfortunately, U-turn not going to hurt much, but he does give him the option of, once again, just like last game, kind of switching out for itself, where he can replace this Pokemon with one of his others and then bring Incineroar in the other slot if he wants to.
Yeah, and that is actually a very big knockout onto that Tapu Fini. A huge offense threat on Aaron's side of the field has been removed as Stack Attack takes the field right now for Aaron's side, and looks like Aaron now has to decide, going to switch in that Incineroar with that Fake Out support. So, possible that Trick Room might possibly come right back up here, which seems like a position that Aaron wants to be able to go in because, Ho-Oh kind of fast, Rayquaza kind of fast.
Yeah, time could be running out for Jens here, where I feel like, this battle only has so many turns left in it, and Aaron is likely about to get 5 more turns of Trick Room. I'm starting to not see how Jens is going to be able to stall this out, where he's played Ho-Oh really well. I mean, if he avoided that Intimidate before the substitute, this would be a very different game. But you think now as Rayquaza, well, there's a Fake Out Trick Room potential here, so at some point, either now or next turn, it's probably going to need to switch out for Persian, reset its attack, get the threat of that Fake Out out there, but Persian's low enough now where it'll get knocked out. I don't know if Rayquaza can survive until the end of this impending Trick Room in order to actually get more attacks up. But we see it's Ho-Oh switching out instead. He gives up that substitute to try to get the Fake Out and Rayquaza on the field at the same time.
Yep, Incineroar uses Fake Out here, hits in that Rayquaza slot, so not anything going to happen from Jens' side of the field as Stack Attack does set up Trick Room. So another 5 turns that Jens has to try to stall out this Trick Room. Jens does have access to that Fake Out, but again, there's, Stack Attack, it's going to be out on the field for a while.
Yeah, it's like, I like the idea of getting rid of Ho as Intimidate in some ways, and well, you could go for a fake out attack here, but we've already seen Protect in the stack attack it, right? It's not like it's a normal set where that would be at least checking it. So, Aaron, if he wants to, can get a pretty free switch, or just go for a knockout on the Persian or a powerful knock off on the Rayquaza. I mean, normally you don't have to worry about that, but Incineroar hasn't been intimidated, and this Rayquaza looks pretty frail.
Stack Attack now uses Protect as Persian goes for the fake out. It lands in that Stack Attack slot, but again, Aaron playing so well right here as Incineroar uses knockoff here, hits into that Rayquaza slot. Rayquaza not going to hang on to its Life Orb as Rayquaza now uses Earth Power, hits in that Stack Attack slot as well. So Aaron here really just using the Stack Attack as a redirection of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little greedy of an Earth Power there, which I get on Jens' side, right? I mean, he's so far behind in this game as well. I need Aaron to make a mistake to get out of this one. It doesn't happen there, and at this point, Aaron can pretty much just click Rock Slide, and if he doesn't miss, he wins the game. And he still isn't really getting checked by Rayquaza here, because Incineroar can keep the pressure on it if he wants to, and avoid any threat of a miss stopping him. Just really, really well-played game by Aaron.
Yep, Ho-Oh takes the field for Jens' side, switching out that Alolan Persian as Rayquaza uses Protect, going to try to stall out this Trick Room somehow. Of course, that actually just leads up into a position where Alolan Persian takes the field if this Ho-Oh gets knocked out, as it does connect onto that Ho-Oh, but, it's quadruple weak? Yeah, Ho-Oh's not hanging up from there.
Yeah, I mean, Stack Attack isn't too shabby. It's got the Life Orb. It's a really clever setup by Jens, but this is such a tough matchup where Stack Attack doesn't really care about Delta Stream.
It doesn't care about Ho-Oh either, because it just has such a high physical defense stat. And, Mega Rayquaza is still out on the field, but here comes Jens' last Pokemon, that Alolan Persian, which is already so heavily damaged. And, you could go for the fake out and Earth Power play, but Rayquaza has taken so much damage from that knockoff from earlier, so Aaron Traylor really playing well.
Yeah, I think at this point there's kind of nowhere you can lose. I actually thought Jens plays a pretty good set here too, but it's a tough team matchup, and Aaron doesn't give him anything. It's like he's really looking like he's in World Championships form, where so much of Pokemon, I think, is making the game hard for your opponent, not giving anything easy. Aaron gave nothing this match, and Jens didn't give too much either. He just maybe didn't have so much to give away because of his quirkier team.
Yeah, and Alolan Persian, it does provide a lot of support, but it didn't necessarily do much, right? It came out on the field, provided a little bit of fake out pressure, but Aaron was able to play around those fake outs extremely well. Landorus Therian over on Jens' side also took so much damage as Rayquaza protects itself again, not going to get it as Gyro Ball from that Stack Attack connects onto that Rayquaza and gets the KO, and looks like the mysterious winds are going to disappear. Stack Attack gets yet another defensive beast boost as now Incineroar uses knockoff onto that Persian. Gonna chip away at it. Gonna go ahead and reveal that Assault Vest as Persian uses U-turn. Best offensive option right now against that Incineroar. Not much damage at all. Can't switch. No Pokemon left. Jens down to the wire. Persian is almost KO'd. Gonna get KO'd this turn.
Yeah, kind of insult to injury for Jens too, where I don't think anything happened this set where it was super obvious that it had the Assault Vest, so maybe we should have just gone for the forfeit there, but we'll see Aaron pick up this knockout and move on to 4-0.
Yep, and you have to give props to Jens right there, just kind of playing it out, and I respect that.
Yeah, but you hope something good happens, right? Where it's a World Championships, I guess you're going to do everything you can to try to pick up that win. And I'm actually pretty interested to see how he does. I think he has some great matchups against the Pokemon that Aaron does not have. I think Kyogre in particular would be very difficult to play against Jens' team. He's a great